One of the biggest wins in my relationship, one of the biggest wins for me was the day that I realized and I accepted the fact that my wife was actually on my team. Like, I just wanted to be a big kid. I just wanted to be able to come and go as I pleased. I wanted to be able to go to bars and go drink and come home when I wanted to come home. As long as I came home, she would say go left, I would go right. She would say check upstairs, I would go downstairs. Just being defiant, like a child. Just being like a child, making her life exponentially harder and mine. And it wasn't until I started to examine, why do you do that? I know a lot of men struggle with this problem. I know a lot of men struggle with this problem because I talk to men a lot, and I mean, like, in my personal life, and I can see that this issue is very common in most relationships, right? I can see this issue, how it affects the relationship, what it's doing to it, how it's destroying the relationship, all these things. I can see it. And big reason why I can see it is because I struggled with it for a long time. And I guess to some extent I still do. Um, but it's not nearly as bad as it used to be. It's just like a process. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, some remnants still remain. But overall, I have unpacked this in my mind. And I want to share this because I feel like it's really important. I feel like it really could help some people. So what I'm talking about is the issue is how men see their women as opposition. We see our wives, our girlfriends as the ops, as opposed to seeing them as our partners and our companions, right? One of the biggest wins in my relationship, one of the biggest wins for me was the day that I realized and I accepted the fact that my wife was actually on my team. Like, she was not against me. She was not my opposition. She was actually my teammate. And I know I could already hear the groans from a lot of women that's like, oh, like, how, like, you didn't know that before, but I didn't. I did that. That's not how I viewed my relationship, because men are taught that women want to change us. That's what we're taught. We're conditioned to believe that women's number one goal in a relationship is to change a man, to beat a man down. You know what I'm saying? A lot of that is projection, though, if not all of it, right? Women do want to change us, but they don't want to change us for the worse. Like, nothing my wife has ever wanted from me has or would lead me to be a worse person than I was the day before. Like, everything my wife has asked of me, everything that I've accepted, and everything that I've every task that I've taken on, and I've fulfilled that role or whatever, it has made me a better person overall. Not even just for her. It's made me a better father. It's made me a better friend. It's made me a better community member. All these things, right? And but with that being said, men aren't taught that is what women are actually trying to do. We're taught that women are trying to control us. That's what we're taught. Why I say that is projection, though, is because the reality is men are actually trying to control women. So we project that onto women. We think it's better that we get her before she gets us. We think that the same way, now, and I won't say we because I never thought this, but we as a collective, like how men think that, like, cheaters think that their woman is cheating because they're like, if I'm cheating, she must be cheating, right? Because I'm a piece of shit, she's a piece of shit. Like, that actually gives the person solace in their minds and in their hearts. They feel justified in doing the things that they're doing, right? But let me start at the beginning somewhat. So I was never like I was never obsessed with submission. I was never obsessed with submission. That was never my thing. My thing was never to get my wife to submit to me. What it really was, more than anything, was I just wanted to be able to do what I wanted to do when I wanted to do it. So essentially, think like a child, right? I wanted to be a grown child. That's that's the best way I can describe it. I just wanted to be a big kid. I just wanted to be able to come and go as I pleased. I wanted to be able to go out to bars back when this started a long time ago. So I wanted to be able to go to bars and go drink and come home when I wanted to come home. As long as I came home. I wanted to be able to go to work, come home, not do anything, not do much, not lift a finger. I wanted to be able to ignore my wife's emotional needs. Uh, I wanted to be able to participate in the rearing of my children when I wanted to. So think DDG, right? If you guys have heard about the court findings, or what Haley has been saying about DDG in court, basically he's a deadbeat and he wants to be with his kids on his time and he tries to inconvenience her and so on and so forth. But I'm with my wife the whole time. So think about that in a relationship, how that looks. And I'm sure a lot of women can relate to this. Um, so it was a lot of that. It was just me being defiant, right? And the way that that would look is my wife would want me to do something, need for me to do something. I needed to do something, even if she didn't tell me to, whatever the case may be. And I would just like completely neglect it. She would say, go left, I would go right. She would say, check upstairs, I would go downstairs. Just being defiant, like again, like a child, just being like a child, making her life exponentially harder and mine simultaneously. And what ended up, you know, what ended up happening was it would be these like it would be these like moments when my wife would tell me to do something, right? Like I remember distinctly, I remember specifically one of the things my wife would tell me, like told me to do a couple times in our relationship. It would be something like with a traffic ticket or yeah, like a traffic ticket or a parking ticket, something like that. And let's say I got the ticket, what's today, October 1st. Let's say I got the ticket on the 1st. She would be like, you should you should pay the ticket or whatever the case may be. Like let's say it was a parking ticket. She'd be like, you should pay the ticket. You got a parking ticket, pay it right now. And I'd be like, okay, all right. And then, you only got whatever, 30 days to pay the ticket, let's say. And then I'd be like, yeah, okay. And then and then it would be the 10th. And she would be like, did you ever pay that parking ticket? And I'll be like, oh no, I forgot. And she'd be like, pay it right now. And I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna do it right now. Hold on. She's like, no, just pay it right now. And I'm like, no, wait, like I just was being defiant. Like there was no reason for me not to pay the ticket. There's no reason to not pay the ticket right then. She'd be like, pay the ticket. And I'm like, no, like, you know, no, I'll do it in a minute, whatever. And then um fast forward, it's the 30th or 31st of October and the ticket is due on the 1st. And I would end up like rushing to pay the ticket. And that's best case scenarios. And there was like a couple times when I didn't pay the ticket or a time when I didn't pay the ticket on time and then I got fined for it. I had to pay more money and like double the money. And of course that would make anybody irate, anybody upset, you know? It's like just this desire for men to it's just this desire for men to establish this like power in a relationship. We men are conditioned to want to establish this power in a relationship, unfortunately. Right. And this is something that I never knew about myself. I never looked at it like this. And it wasn't until I started to examine, like, why do you do that? Why, like, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? Like, why are you being like this? That I started to see like what it was, like where did it come from? Because again, taught, I was never explicitly taught this. I was never explicitly taught not to listen to women or anything like that. Like I can't remember, like I literally can't remember any moments, any teachings from anybody, a man, a woman, or anybody where they told me don't listen to a woman. And like I said, I wasn't obsessed with submission, right? But I was in the church. When I, basically from a teenager to my early 20s, and like a really good time, like a long time. I was baptized when I was in my 20s. I read the Bible religiously. I read it front to back. I went to Bible study, all that stuff. I've talked about this before. And even with that being said, I never bought into the concept of submission, like even in the biblical sense. As a churchgoer, as a Christian, I never bought into that. It never made sense to me. Even in my early 20s, even in my teens, I was like, that's like, I don't, like, I don't know about that. But fast forward, it was like I ended up acting like that no matter, like, I still acted like that. I still acted like that because I could not be obsessed with submission, right? Consciously. But if I want to do what I want to do when I want to do it, and I expect my wife to accept that, what do you call that? That's submission. I'm expecting her to submit to me. That is submission. She needs for me to do something. She wants me to do something. I'm unwilling to do it. And then I'm doing what I want to do. And she has to accept it. That is submission. That's essentially what men expect when they talk about, I want a woman to submit. They can try to make it seem like something else, like that's not it. And it like, because as a human being, right? As a human being, what gives me the right to lord over anybody, even my own children? What gives me the right to lord over another adult? Because I have a penis? Because the Bible said so? No, that's crazy. That's crazy. And because I was somewhat, logical even at that time. I like to think I'm more logical now, but at that time I was somewhat logical. That concept never jived with me in my conscious brain. It never made sense when I read it, when I talked about it. You know what I'm saying? When I said it out of my mouth, it never made sense. It never made sense. And I grew up around pimps and hoes and things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? So I knew what submission looked like. Like I was like, I don't want a woman, you know what I'm saying? Like I don't need a woman to be like that with me. I felt bad. Like I had empathy for those women that were in those positions. And I was just like, yeah, I don't need no woman to be like underneath me or underneath my boot or whatever the case may be, you know? So I chose for like submission light, I would call it. And thus it set this dynamic where my wife became my opposition. She was the op. She was the op. She wasn't my partner. She wasn't my teammate. She was the opposition. She was the other team. She was trying to steal my glory. She was trying to dim my light. She was trying to disrupt my fun time, whatever it was. Like a mom, like a child and a mom. And this is why so many women freaking can't stand being in relationships with men. And men this is the whole like, oh, the divorce came out of nowhere stuff that the women be talking about, because who the hell wants to be in a relationship with a person, with a grown adult, especially a man, right? And you have to look at it through the eyes of a woman. Man, we are afforded all of these opportunities. We are afforded all of these benefits to being a man, right? And yet we figure out a way to fail time and time and time again. And a woman who has all of the odds stacked against her can figure out how to be the best version of herself. Even with society being pitted against her, she can figure out how to go to college. She can figure out how to pay her own bills and be responsible and have empathy and care about people. Like she can figure out all of that stuff on her own. But a man who was afforded all these opportunities somehow, some way can't figure it out. So it makes them like doubly mad because they're like, brother, brother, you're a man, and I totally understand that. I totally get that. It's a double whammy. It doesn't take her like men love to talk about like, oh, they like to act like the only reason to leave a man is if he's cheating, and half the time y'all be like on that, right? Cheating or beating, and I'm like, it is just as destructive to gaslight a woman and make her think she's the crazy one because she's asking you to do something and you're trying to make her feel like she's treating you like you're a child. When in reality, you actually are acting like a fucking child. You're acting like a child. She doesn't want, like, that's not her intentions. Her intentions are to treat you like a child. You're acting like a child. And instead of you clocking your behavior, you flip it around and go, "You're not my mom. Stop talking to me like that. You ain't my mama. You ain't." Instead of it being like, okay, like what conceivable logical reason could you come up with for a woman trying to tell you to pay a bill on time, tell you to pay a ticket, tell you to go to the doctor, like outside of she is just looking out for your best interest. What what else do you think could be a possibility there? You know what I'm saying? Like what is the other possibility there outside of she's looking out for you, right? I wish I would have known this sooner. I wish I would have had this thought process sooner. I do. I wish it was 15 years ago. I wish it was from day one. You know what I mean? Our relationship would be healthier because even though, your relationship could be healthy because you worked on it and all of that stuff, but I don't care what anybody says. If you never have to work on stuff like this, your relationship will be healthier overall. Because there's not these like pain points, right? There's not these remnants of negative experience after negative experience floating around in the minds of the other person who was harmed by your actions. You know, you could be the best version of yourself now, but that doesn't erase the last 5 years. That doesn't erase the last 6 years. That doesn't erase, the all the hardships, all the things that you put them through. It doesn't erase any of that. That's still going to be there. So the thing that really got me together was, I don't know how else to say it, and I don't want to simplify it, but just like it was just like me being more mature. And I don't know exactly like what day that was because it wasn't like a one-time thing. It was just an overall experience or like, a cluster of experiences, I think, kind of in a short period of time. And it was a lot of my wife being patient and my wife talking to me and me having these internal thoughts because there was a time when I thought that, and I said it out loud to my wife, I was like, maybe I will never be able to give you what you need from me, you know? And that was such a cop out. Like it was like I was giving up. Like I just can't do, you know what I mean? And it's like, but why can't you do it? Because what she's asking is not crazy. It's not unrealistic for anybody, let alone me. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm very capable. I'm very capable, more than capable, you know? Um, so it was just like it wasn't something that happened overnight. It was a very deliberate, arduous process that I had to undertake, and my wife had to undertake with me, um, for the growth to happen. But the first step in this growth for men is to recognize that your wife and your girlfriend, your woman is not your opposition. She is your friend. She is your partner. She is not going against you. She literally has no benefit. It doesn't benefit her at all to oppose you. Women do not operate the same way men do in this fashion. They don't benefit from manipulating us. Because if you think about it, and I'm talking about for most women, of course, there's some bad women out there, fine, right? You guys always need to hear that. It makes you feel better. Like, glad he said there are some bad women out there. You happy now? There's some bad women out there. Yes. But I'm talking about the vast majority of women. The vast majority of women are not conditioned to seek out power in a relationship. That's not what they want. What women are ultimately looking for, though, is for you to be empowered and for them to be empowered, to have two equally empowered people in the relationship. That they know that is how the relationship will be its healthiest and it will function at its highest level. Men think that it is our duty to disrupt that and steal that power from her. That way we have more power or all of the power. That is, and women aren't playing that game. Women aren't playing that game. I wish that men weren't conditioned to play that game, but we are. And until you realize that as a man, like that is the game you're playing, and she's not playing a game at all, It's going to keep repeating itself. You're going to keep butting heads with your woman. She's going to keep being disappointed in your behaviors and in your actions, and you won't grow. And eventually, she'll get tired of it and leave you. And you'll be shocked and you'll be miserable and you'll try to punish her for not putting up with you until she dies. But I'm here to tell you that it's going to be your fault. Like, you're going to be the only person to blame, not her. It's not going to have anything to do with her.